Let's introduce tonight's think tank. Joining us in Tampa, Florida, criminal defense attorney Teresa Jean-Pierre Coy. In West Palm Beach, Florida, the state attorney for Palm Beach County, Florida, Dave Arenberg. And in Los Angeles, California, former federal prosecutor Neama Rahmani. Welcome. Seated below us are former federal prosecutor Neama Rahmani and the state attorney. Either one of you want to take a look at this one?
I'll jump in, Vinnie. Teresa, this is a strong case for the state. You got your motive, right? This is a witness. Calvin is going to testify against him 2 weeks later at his court-martial hearing. You got the means, right? You got that shell casing. I'm sure we're going to talk about the chain of custody, but again, I think that goes to weight, not admissibility. And you got the opportunity. His cell phone is at the two scenes of the murders. Pamela, one of the victim's cell phones travels with him to Fort Campbell, where he works. I like this case for the state. I think they have more than enough evidence to convict.
If he claims he wasn't really married because his wife was a bigamist?
That's just one other reason not to like Cal Phillips, right? I mean, he is having an affair with the roommate or, the purported wife or whatever the case may be. And Teresa, in these court-martial proceedings, the way they work is the government has to subpoena everyone, all witnesses, including witnesses for the defense. So, I mean, that's really, I think, a stretch to say that the government is subpoenaing this individual who is having a relationship with the defendant's roommate and that he is going to provide good information for the defense when really the roommate is the one who's making the allegations, at least those related to the abuse.
Let me ask you this, Neama, how much of an issue this becomes? Because it seems that the defense is going to say, well, family member planted the evidence there, right? So that's where they may very well go. It's a .45. If they can't ballistically match it directly to his gun, but it's just, okay, it's a .45, he was killed at .45, the defendant owns a .45. And the aunt or the sister and the son knew that it was a .45 that was used. Is that going to be a problem if somehow the defense is able to say, listen, they knew what kind of weapon was used here, and they found a casing and they planted it, ladies and gentlemen?
It's certainly a potential problem for the state. I mean, this is not the type of police investigation that you want. Jurors are used to CSI. They're expecting every inch of the floor to be combed for DNA and hair, and you have the shell casing in plain sight. So I don't like it. You know that the sloppy prosecution argument is coming in, planted evidence argument is coming in, but really, this is what the state has because they don't have the ballistics for the other weapon. All of that was essentially destroyed in the fire of that vehicle. So they really need this particular piece of evidence for Cal Phillips because you don't have this for the other victims.
That's how they got to them hotels. An anonymous call to Crime Stoppers. Those tip lines work sometimes, and it worked in this case. That tells me that there may be a whole bunch of people who know a lot of details here.
Yeah, no question. I mean, that body was in that tote bag for a long period of time, according to law enforcement. But what's really kind of sad about this case, obviously you have a young child who was found yesterday, actually on my young son's birthday as well. So my heart goes out to the family. But this is a child who hadn't gone to school in a month. He was last in elementary school on April 30th. No one from Child Protective Services was contacted. This is a woman who has a restraining order, who is on bond for choking Dalton Samuel's husband. So a lot of things happened here that shouldn't have happened. And if things had gone in a different direction or folks had actually done their job, maybe Samuel would be alive today.
Neama, so how much information do you want to get from Teresa Balboa? How do you decide whether or not she is the main target or she is someone who can perhaps lead you to the main target here and uncover everything for you?
I got to talk to Teresa's attorney, whether it's our Teresa here. I mean, she better have some answers as to why she has that young boy's body in her motel room. If she wasn't the murderer, she doesn't point us to the person who did it, she's going to go down. And I agree with Dave. I mean, dad, Dalton, he better have some answers, and he better have some answers quicker. He's also going to get indicted. The reason I think he may not have had anything to do with it was he was the one who actually contacted law enforcement, reported him missing based on the story of what Teresa said. But really that 1 month where that's unaccounted for, I would really need answers from either Teresa or Dalton, or they're both getting charged if I were the prosecutor in this case.
Defense theory, and I'm interested in your opinions on it. They're claiming that there's this new evidence that there were some burglars in the neighborhood, and Laci Peterson must have seen the burglars breaking into the house across the street. They saw her, so of course they abducted her, I guess, and then killed her, and then coincidentally disposed of Laci Peterson 2.5 hours away, not in Modesto, but in San Francisco Bay, which coincidentally was the place where Scott Peterson, in his new boat that he didn't tell anyone that he bought, was fishing on Christmas Eve for some fish which he couldn't name. Thoughts on this new defense theory, Teresa?
You know, the way you said that, you made it sound like that was just like not a plausible argument. So I don't know. It was just something about the way you gave that narrative there. But honestly, my opinion on this is, you know, Scott Peterson needs to leave well enough alone. The court overruled, got rid of the death penalty. So he should just go ahead and serve out the rest of his life in prison and let it be. But I think to go and try to get a new trial, especially if he's going to give the same argument that you just gave us, I don't think that's really a good look, because at that point, the state can come back and now then put the death penalty back on the table and correct the errors that they made the first time around. So I think they should leave well enough alone. Go ahead, serve the rest of your life in prison, and call it a day.
Yeah, I agree. When you've lost Teresa, again, you've lost the case. You're not going to win in the end. He should take the W that he got the death penalty off the table and just move on.
Yeah, Scott Peterson, hasn't he done enough to put this family through a whole nother trial where he's going to be convicted again? We know the death penalty isn't going to happen here in my home state of California. He's won on appeal. So just leave well enough alone, serve the rest of your life in prison, and give this poor family some peace.
He doesn't seem hurt or affected by the incident. Neama, it really struck me. She kept talking about all the witnesses she had to this. This guy, witnesses, yeah, they're all witnesses. I guess she knows that sometimes people can get away with crimes like murder when there aren't witnesses.
Vinnie, I'm just shocked someone's actually dating Casey Anthony. Oh my God, what is this individual thinking? I just can't believe it. She calls, she brings law enforcement into this bar, then she talks about this verbal assault, which makes zero sense whatsoever. And ultimately, at least she does the right thing and says she's not going to press charges or ask for a restraining order. But come on, Casey Anthony, please just go away so we never, ever hear about you and the miscarriage of justice ever again.
Andrea, tonight.
I'm going to disagree here. She's found not guilty. She was found not guilty by a jury of 12 people beyond a reasonable doubt. The problem with the Casey Anthony trial was that the state got too greedy and they charged too high and they lost the case. She's a free woman. She was found not guilty, and oh well. And a battery was committed against her. Sorry.
She's still a convicted felon, though. Some other charges. Andrea, tonight.
Maybe.
Wow. Great job tonight, Teresa Jean-Pierre Coy, Dave Arenberg, Neama Rahmani. Always appreciate your time, your expertise. We'll see you again.